Hi, my name is Bianca DeVos from I Hear You Learning at ihearyoulearning.com, and welcome to Lesson 4, which is a focus on your literary extract and appealing to Criterion A. In this lesson, you're going to learn exactly how to appeal to Criterion A, and in particular, we're going to focus on the top band, which is the band 9 to 10, which is what you want to secure if you really want to achieve that level 7. So let's head on over and take a look at appealing to Criterion A. Individual oral Criterion A and your literary extract. So you've already been told what you'll be learning, but I wanted to begin by drawing attention to Criterion A, band 9 to 10, and what that entails. So to appeal to Criterion A, band 9 to 10, you need to 1. Know and understand your texts. 2. Use this knowledge and understanding to demonstrate the relevance of your text to the global issue. 3. Have references to support the points you make about the text and your global issue. And 4. Make insightful interpretations about the text. So this is 4 different components on how to appeal to Criterion A, and we're going to break each of these 4 components down. Let's take a look at our checklist so far. So in videos 1 to 3, I left you with homework, and so far you should have done the following. You've selected your literary text, you have selected your non-literary text, and you have created your global issue and have rooted it in the field of inquiry that it comes from. And finally, you have a literary extract that you would like to work with. And with today's longer video, or in today's longer video, we're going to be looking at how to use this literary extract to appeal to Criterion A. So we're going to delve further into the literary extract that we will take from our literary body of work. In video 2, I chose my literary body of work, and I chose it for the following reasons. It lends itself well to a 40-line selection. So a collection of poetries is great for a 40-line selection. I will be able to refer to 3 or 4 different points throughout that collection that also address my global issue. It pairs well with my non-literary body of work, and I enjoyed reading the text and I enjoy talking about it. So what makes for a great literary individual oral extract? So 1, it explores your global issue and therefore allows you to stay sharply focused on your global issue. It's no more than 40 lines of continuous text. I sometimes get students asking me if you can take the lines from different sections of the text. You can't do that. It must be continuous text. This IO extract, and hopefully yours as well, allows you to insightfully analyze how the author presents the global issue. How is always a focus on authorial choices, so literary or structural choices that the author makes and how they use these to present the global issue. There are sufficient authorial choices to discuss, about 4 or so, and then analyze in the context of your global issue. So you need to be able to see at least 4 or so authorial choices in your extract. And then last but certainly not least, I enjoyed reading the text and I enjoy talking about it. So let's take a look at the literary extract that I've chosen. It's from Salome from Caroline Duffy's The World's Wife. I'll read it to you so you can get a feel for the poem, and then we'll start to pick it apart. So Salome, I'd done it before, and doubtless I'll do it again sooner or later. Woke up with a head on the pillow beside me. What did it matter? Good looking, of course, dark hair rather matted, the reddish beard several shades lighter, with very deep lines around the eyes, from pain, I'd guess, maybe laughter. And a beautiful crimson mouth that obviously knew how to flatter, which I kissed, colder than pewter. Strange. What was his name? Peter, Simon, Andrew, John? I knew I'd feel better. For tea, dry toast, no butter. So rang for the maid, and indeed her innocent clatter of cups and plates, her clearing of clutter, her regional patter, were just what I needed, hungover and wrecked as I was from a night on the batter. Never again I needed to clean up my act, get fitter, cut out the booze and the fags and the sex. Yes, and as for the latter, it was time to turf out the blighter, the beater or biter, who'd come like a lamb to the slaughter to Salome's bed. In the mirror I saw my eyes glitter. I flung back the sticky red sheets, and there, like I said, and ain't life a bitch, was his head on the platter. On a platter. So some pro tips: number your lines as demonstrated in my extract. It allows you to better navigate the poem, and it will also allow your teacher to direct you to specific lines for teacher questioning. There's no need to number every line. Every fifth one is sufficient. Let's take a look at some layout tips. When the examiner downloads your extracts, they want to see the extracts very clearly set out. It makes a great impression, and it also helps to guide them through your I/O. So what I don't have here, but what you should definitely have up the top, is your global issue. And then you need to tell the examiner if it's lit or non-lit, and if it's your first text or second text. So when we open the individual oral, what are we expecting to come up first? What's the title of your body of work? Tell us who the author is. Note where in the text your extract is taken from, and provide us with a proper citation. Downloading your extract is the first thing that the examiner will do when they open up your file when they're examining. So you really want to have a well-organized and well-presented extract, because it does make a very good first impression. It helps to orientate the examiner, and it really gets things off to a smooth start. So make sure that it's set out correctly and there's no guesswork for the examiner. The examiner is moving through at a pretty robust pace, so they don't have time for guesswork. Do the work for them, as you should be doing. So you have your extract, you're going to number your lines. Now what? Well, we know you need to appeal to Criterion A, which is all about demonstrating your knowledge and understanding, as well as interpreting your text in the context of the global issue. We've got your top band descriptor, which we're going to look at in more detail. So let's take a look at some of the key terms and figure out exactly what the examiners want. So again, Criterion A, it's about knowledge, understanding, and interpretation. These are the questions that examiners are asking themselves as they assess your I/O. So, knowledge, understanding, and interpretation. This is all about how well you know and understand your text and how you interpret your text. So, how well does the candidate demonstrate knowledge and understanding of the extracts and of the works or texts from which they were taken? So we'll look at how to hit that question, how to address that question in your individual oral. But when the examiner is assessing you, they're asking themselves, how well did you demonstrate your knowledge and understanding of your extracts and your bodies of work? So I cannot stress enough that you need to know these texts very well. To what extent does the candidate make use of knowledge and understanding of the extracts and the works or text to draw conclusions in relation to the global issue? So you've got your knowledge and understanding of the extracts and the works or the texts, but how well do you use them to draw conclusions in relation to your global issue? How well are ideas supported by references to the extracts and to the works or texts? And we know that your references are quotes. So as you can see, you do need to know your text extremely well, and it's worth noting that Criterion A can be impacted by the 5-minute questioning portion of the individual oral. So your teachers should be and will be asking you questions that allow you to further demonstrate your knowledge and understanding of the text. So you want to be understanding and answering these questions well. And there'll be more on responding to questions further on in the course, because responding to the questions is also important. So let's take a look at the highest band descriptor for Criterion A. So many people say that they ask, what is a level 7? What is it that people are looking for? So a fun fact is that examiners actually receive a document that goes into the marking criteria in much more detail. So they will unpack what excellent actually means, and we'll look at that as well in this video. So for the top band, there is excellent knowledge and understanding of the extracts and of the works and texts, and a persuasive interpretation of their implication in relation to the global issue. So what are the implications of the text in relation to the global issue? Let's explore this further. So know your text, excellent knowledge and understanding. You must know your text for that. That is so important. A persuasive interpretation of their implication in relation to the global issue. Do your texts impact or explore the global issue? And were you persuasive in your interpretation, your explanation, your understanding of the implications of these texts, how these texts impact and explore the global issue? References to the extracts and to the works or texts are well chosen and effectively support the candidate's ideas. So these are quotes. We do want to see quotes. Well chosen, what does that mean? Well, this is the best possible quote to support your idea. So you don't just want any old quote to support your idea. You have such a good knowledge and understanding of your text that you choose the best possible quote to support your idea. And is it effective in supporting your idea? Does it actually support your idea? Does it help to explore your idea further? Or have you just chosen this quote because it's one that you learned in class, or because it's from a handout that your teacher gave you? So these level 7s are choosing the best possible quote because they know their text so well that they're able to really sift through the quotes, sift through the text, and find the one that best supports their ideas. Let's break this down further. So let's take a further look at how to structure an analytical point, and let's take a further look at what well chosen and effectively supports the candidate's ideas means, and how this ties into structuring an analytical point. This is more slipping. Structuring an analytical point or getting into the analysis is Criterion B. So I've split that, and that will be in a following video. But let's break it down into steps. Criterion A, step 1. Find 3 to 4 points where your global issue is present in your extract and highlight them. So here's a sample of the text where I've highlighted one point where my global issue is demonstrated. You'll do this 3 to 4 times. So my global issue is female empowerment in a patriarchal world, and I believe that this quote highlights my global issue or addresses or makes a comment on my global issue. Woke up with a head on the pillow beside me. Whose what did it matter? So for me, it's the world of the conquest, the sexual conquest, has traditionally been a male role. Here in Salome, we have a empowered female who is taking on that male role. She's an empowered female in a patriarchal world. She is the conqueror, and she is looking at her conquest, and she's not particularly concerned about who he is. Anyway, so you need to do that 3 to 4 times. Step 2. Consider Criterion A and make sure that what you've highlighted, 1, allows you to make interpretations that are consistently relevant to the global issue. So here's what I've highlighted, and I'm asking myself, is this consistently relevant to the global issue? Are my 3 to 4 points that I've highlighted consistently relevant to the global issue? My global issue being female empowerment in a patriarchal world. I would say here, yes, it is relevant to my global issue. And I'm making an interpretation that is relevant to the global issue. And my interpretation is as follows. Here, Duffy explores the idea of female empowerment in a patriarchal world, as we see the titular character, Salome, disinterested in the finer details of her bedmate. In the past, this bravado has been reserved for men. So, how you've interpreted the text must be in the context of your global issue. Everything that you do with the text must be in the context of your global issue. Is your interpretation convincing, or does it seem to be a tenuous link to the global issue? Here in this slide, you can see an example of where the interpretation made about the text is relevant to the global issue. In the next one, in the coming slides, we're going to have a look at a tenuous link. So when you're looking, you have your highlighted reference. You really need to see a chain of events with your highlighted reference. You want your global issue at the top. You want it to be connected. You want to see here a clear connection to your highlighted reference. And then after you've highlighted your reference, you move over and you make an interpretation. This is a chain of events that must not be broken when you are creating your individual oral and aiming for the highest level possible. Let's take a look at where students have issues and sometimes go off-piste. We're going to take a look at where you can see the link between the global issue, what you've highlighted, and the interpretation being broken. There's no connection between the three. Okay, so here we are. We're trying to do the same thing, which is making an interpretation that's consistently relevant to the global issue. Well, I've chosen a different quote. I'd done it before. I can see in some ways how this shows female empowerment in a patriarchal world. However, it's not as relevant and it's not as consistently well chosen as this reference. So this is where we see the phrase well chosen reference as a descriptor for bands 9 to 10. This is where we can see that you're probably not, well, definitely not in the descriptor for 9 to 10. I've done it before. It doesn't tell us much as far as female empowerment in a patriarchal world. And let's take a look at the interpretation over here. So this is a declarative sentence, and men declare things often. Duffy having Salome using a declarative sentence shows that Salome is with a lot of men. So that link between the global issue, the highlighted reference, and the interpretation, it's broken. What does this interpretation have to do with this global issue? There's no real connection between the three. This, I would say that something like this, you're down definitely somewhere in the middle bands, if not lower. That's what you call a tenuous link. You're desperate, you're grasping. You don't know the text as well as you should, and you are making a desperate grasp just to get the job done. So what is a convincing reference? So let's take a look at the descriptor, the second part of the descriptor. You provide a convincing reference in the form of quotes that allows you to support your interpretations. There must be a link between your reference, which is your quote, and your interpretation. So a convincing reference convinces the examiner that your point is relevant to the text and global issue, and the quote allows you to further explore your global issue. It also fully supports the interpretation that you've made and convinces the examiner that your point is a valid one. So in this case, the interpretation and the reference and the global issue should be clearly connected. So, what about supporting your interpretations? Your statements about the text, your interpretations, should be supported by textual references. So let's take a look at this happening again. Female empowerment in a patriarchal world. Strange, what was his name? Peter. Female empowerment can be seen all around the world, and Salome is also empowered because she has a bad memory. So we're going to look at more detail about why this is not a 9 to 10 band example. So is it a convincing reference? No. And does it allow me to support my interpretation, or is the interpretation connected at all to the global issue? Not really. So here that link is broken again. Okay, so this quote is not the best choice in terms of enabling you to explore your global issue while supporting your interpretation. Okay, so it doesn't allow you to explore your global issue. And 2, the interpretation is not well connected to the global issue or supported by the quote. So you've got that connection that's broken again. So let's take a look at how it's done properly. So here we're going back to our quote that works really well. Woke up with a head on the pillow beside me, whose, what did it matter? While that is a well-chosen reference, it definitely allows me to explore my global issue, and you can see the global issue reflected in this reference. Interpretation. How can we interpret this quote? Duffy takes the traditionally male realm of the sexual conquest and places a female firmly in control. This interpretation is unpacking my global issue, female empowerment in a patriarchal world. The interpretation explores the global issue, like I just said. So this is an example, this is a good model of how to reach Criterion A. You've got your global issue, which you selected after watching video 3. You've got your quote that allows you to explore your global issue. It's a well-chosen quote. Your interpretation of the quote further explores your global issue. And then you're well on your way to reaching the higher bands of Criterion A. So to summarize and to consider what would be very useful for you, you should take some time now to provide a convincing interpretation, which could also be thought of as a point about the extract in the context of the global issue. So you're really going back to step 1, where you've highlighted 3 to 4 quotes, And for each quote you're doing this, that's why I've said do this 3 to 4 times. For each quote, you're providing a convincing interpretation or a point about the extract or about the quote in the context of the global issue. You're going to support that point or interpretation with a well-chosen reference or quote. Sorry about the typo there. You're going to weave in the reference or quote's relevance to the global issue and what the implications of it are in the context of your global issue. You're going to look back at what you've written and make sure that your quote supports your point and that your interpretation is consistently relevant to your global issue and consistently focused on the text. In the next lesson, we're going to continue working with this work that you've just done now, and we're going to look at Criterion B, which is the criterion that students find the most challenging. If you found this video on how to use your literary extract to appeal to Criterion A useful, and you would like to learn more or perhaps book a lesson, then head on over to ihearyoulearning.com, where you can purchase courses that will take you through each of the major assessments for IB English and Theory of Knowledge. And you can also inquire about one-on-one, paired or small group lessons for IB English and Theory of Knowledge.